Hi everyone! In this video I'm going to show you how I make these mini box pouches. I think it's a great way to always have a clean mask on hand. So let's get going. When you cut out this project, you're going to have two squares, 6 by 6. The blue fabric you see is fusible fabric. I'm using that for my lining. You'll also have two pieces, 1.5 by 3 inch to make the loops for your clasp. And you'll need a zipper. I recommend 9 inches or longer. So as you saw in the starting photo that I added to this video, when you cut with design space, or if you cut by hand, you're going to have two squares, 6 by 6. I'm using fusible fabric for the lining. It's Riley Blake. I have a bunch of it from when Cricket sold fabric. I find that on my trial project, it really gave good body to the fabric. You can also use heat and bond if you want to put the two layers together, or you can just leave them plain if you prefer. But I really like how the fusible fabric made this work. I also have my two little tabs that I've just pressed in. That's a tab for each end. One will hold the lobster claw. If you don't have a lobster claw, you can use a ribbon or elastic or whatever it is you'd like to use to attach it to your bag. And I'm using a 9-inch zipper. I prefer to work with a zipper overhanging because once you've got all the sides sewn up, you can just trim it off to the perfect length. And I find that works best. So I fused my fabric together, and then I used my pinking shears just to pink along the top and bottom edge where the zipper is going to go so that I get a nice edge and no fraying. I don't know if you can see that, it's nice and clean. Once I pinked it, I pressed again to make sure the edges were really well adhered. So now I'm going to take my zipper with the toggle facing down, and I'm just going to line it up along the edge, just inside of those little edges, those little points. I'm going to line it up there. I'll just add a clip to hold it in place. You don't have to if you're comfortable with sewing, but I'll just add a clip to hold it in place. And now I'm going to sew about a quarter, between a quarter and 1/8 of an inch right along here. As I mentioned in my Facebook group, my good machine is out for servicing, so I'm using a little starter machine. I don't have a zipper foot for it, so I'm struggling a little, and no matter what you set it on, your stitch length is the same. So you'll have to forgive my sewing, please. And I'm just going to sew about 1/8 of an inch, a 1/4 inch along this zipper here, and then I'll be back to show you what to do next. Okay, you can see that I've sewn along this edge. I don't know how well you can see it, but I've sewn along that edge. And now I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to finger press this down. That also helps if you've used bonded fabric. It helps you to press that down. There we go, nice and straight. And we're just going to run a top stitch along the top to give it a finished edge. And my top stitching is done. So now you're going to pull up with the inside showing. We'll just flip it over, and we're just going to clip it in place again, just beneath the little points from pinking. Okay, that should do it. And now I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to sew between 1/4 and 1/8 of an inch right along that edge to attach my zipper on the second side. We have our zipper installed. Now you're going to reach inside and open your zipper. You're going to flip it good side out, and you're going to fold down and do your top stitch on the second side. I found it easier to start at this open end rather than start at this end where the zipper is closed. I found it easier to top stitch starting at this open end. So let's get that done. Okay, we have our zipper installed on both edges, on both ends. That looks good. Now I'm just going to take my little tabs and sew just one seam. They're so tiny we don't need two seams. One seam up each side to hold them together, and then we'll assemble the pouch. Okay, and we're all set. So you're going to, now that you have your zipper attached on both sides, you're going to flip it back inside out. Make sure you have your zipper open because we're going to close up the pouch. And if your zipper isn't open, you're not going to get it open afterwards without tearing your pouch apart. Okay, so I'm going to set up my zipper so it's in the middle. And I'm just going to put a clip here just to hold it in the middle while I get the other end ready. Okay, that looks good. We want the zipper to be right in the middle of this rectangle. Let's put another clip in it. That will just hold it in place while I insert my loops. So, if you're using a lobster claw or a ring, not a jump ring, a ring. If you're using some kind of a ring or a lobster claw, whatever you're using, you want it to be at the end where your toggle is when the pouch is closed. So it's going to, in this case, when it's closed, my toggle is going to be here. So I'm going to put my ring there. I'm going to put it inside like that with just a little edge sticking out that we want to sew over. We want to make sure it's centered properly. So it might take a little bit of fussing. Let's see if that's in the center. Move it over a little bit. That's better. And see, you can see the raw edge sticking out. You want that sticking out. Make sure my lobster claw is nicely placed. And I'll just put a clip here. You can use pins if you don't have Wonder Clips. These are really handy though. And you can get a knockoff brand. It doesn't have to be Wonder Clips. You can get a knockoff brand on Amazon that's super inexpensive. And they're really great. Really handy. So on your second one, we're going to make a plain loop. You can hang something on it if you want to. We're just going to tuck it inside, line it up with the center of the zipper, and tuck it in. And we're going to clip it to make sure it doesn't move. There we go. We can remove these clips now, or you can leave them on. It really doesn't matter. I just put them there to hold everything in place while I add the loops. See, my loop is sticking out. I press my zipper a little. My loop is sticking out at this end. And the same at the other end. This one seems to be out a little more. So I'm actually going to sink it in a little more because you want them to be about the same length on both sides. There we go. If they're slightly off, it doesn't matter. There you go. So we're going to sew a good 1/4 inch up and down these sides. You want to go over your zipper a couple of times to make sure that when we cut off the excess, it doesn't fall apart. So back and forth across your zipper. This is a nylon zipper, so it's really easy to sew over. Back and forth over the zipper a few times. The same on this side, a good 1/4 inch, back and forth over the zipper. And don't forget, make sure that zipper is open. If it's closed, you're never going to get it open. You'll have to take your pouch apart. So I'm going to get that done, and I'll be back to show you what's next. Okay, so we've got our sides sewn. Our zipper is open. So now I'm just going to take my pinking shears and cut off the excess. If you don't have pinking shears and you want to just cut across with a rotary cutter or regular scissors, you can always serge or zigzag along the edges after. Oh, take off that excess loop. There we go. Okay, so now what we want to do is box our corners. So you may have seen this before. We're just going to see your little toggle in there? So cute. You're just going to open up your corner like that. You're going to do it on all 4. Just open them up. Make sure that your seam is going in the same direction on both sides. If you have one twisted like that, you're really not going to get a good finish on it. So make sure that they're going in the same direction on both sides. So this is tiny, so I'm going to do about 3/4 of an inch. I'll just take any pen. You should use chalk or a fabric pen, but I'll just do it lightly to show you. And then I'm going to put a clip in it just to hold it in place. And you're going to do the same thing on all 4 corners. So you're going to sew here. I'll put another clip in it. And you're going to do this on all 4 corners. You're going to sew back and forth on these corners. You want to make sure they don't come apart. So I sew once in each direction, making sure to go right off the edge so your seam doesn't come apart. So I'm going to get this done on all 4 corners. We'll trim it and we'll be finished our little pouch. Okay, so here we have our corners sewn flat. You can see how it's supposed to look. That's how it should look. And I'm just going to trim off these excess corners with my pinking shears. And because I also have the fusible fabric on the inside, this is not going to fray. See what my little starter machine is making a mess. But you promised to forgive me for that. I can't wait to get my good sewing machine back. There we go. We'll get rid of that. And we left our zipper open, thankfully, so we can turn it right side out. These are really cute. They'll be cute to hang on your backpack, on your purse, on your tote, wherever you want to hang it. Even on a belt clip. If you're wearing jeans, you can hang it there. Let's see. Little paintbrush just to make sure my seams are pushed out. They look good. And there you go. We have our little pouch. We'll zipper it up. Isn't that adorable? You can put your mask in it. You might even be able to fit a little sanitizer bottle in with your mask. I think that might work too. That'd be really cute. And you can just hang it on whatever you want to hang it on. And like I mentioned, if you don't have any toggles, just use a little piece of ribbon or hair elastic or whatever you think will work. But these little pouches will be so handy. So I'm going to make them for my family because I do believe we're going to be wearing masks for a while. So I'm going to make them for my family so they always have a mask handy. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're going to make some of these little mini box pouches. Please post pictures in the group if you do. I'd love to see how they turn out. And thank you for watching.